Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack your sources and pull out the insights that matter most.
That's right.
Today, we're diving into something you see everywhere, the idea of a soulmate.
Mm-hmm. That perfect match.
Yeah, the one person who just clicks, completes you. It's this powerful image of like effortless connection, deep spiritual bond, all that stuff. Super compelling, isn't it?
It really is. It taps into that deep human desire for connection, well, finding your other half, so to speak.
Okay, so our mission here is to really look closely at this whole soulmate thing. We want to see where it actually came from historically.
Which might surprise you.
Exactly. And then contrast that with what the Bible actually teaches about relationships, about partnership, because, and this is key, that popular idea, it's not really biblical in origin.
Yeah, that's a big point. Its roots are actually much older, back in ancient Greece. You look at Plato's Symposium, and there's this whole story.
Right, the one about humans being split in two by Zeus.
Precisely. And now we're all supposedly searching for our missing other half. The actual term soulmate, though, that popped up much later, like in the 1800s, but it really leaned on those old Greek ideas.
Okay, so that sets up a bit of a tricky dynamic, doesn't it? If you're chasing this perfect, effortless thing.
It can definitely lead to disappointment. Big time. And from a theological angle, it can almost become, well, idolatrous, putting this ideal of a person before God's actual design for connection.
Yeah, that makes sense. So speaking of the Bible, you won't actually find the word soulmate in there, will you?
Nope, it's just not present. But the word soul, the Hebrew nephesh, that appears, gosh, over 700 times.
Wow.
Yeah. It refers to, the whole interperson desires, emotions, your unique self. But the key difference theologically is that the Bible points to God as the source of our wholeness.
Not another person.
Exactly. Not a human partner who's supposed to magically complete you.
Okay, so if the Bible isn't pushing this soulmate search, what is its picture of partnership?
Well, it gives us a pretty clear blueprint for union, and that's marriage. It's presented as a divine thing, set up right back at creation.
Genesis, right. It is not good for the man to be alone.
That's the one. God creates Eve from Adam, and Adam has this amazing reaction like, wow, finally, bone of my bones.
Bone of my bones. I mean, that sounds incredibly close, very intimate. You could almost see how someone might read that as, the one destined partner.
You could, but the broader biblical concept seems much more about action, about building something, rather than just finding something that's already perfectly formed.
Ah, okay. So less passive discovery.
Definitely. The core idea is becoming one flesh. You see that in Genesis? Jesus repeats it, Paul repeats it.
And one flesh means more than just physical, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's holistic. Physical, yes,
Yeah.
but also emotional, spiritual, mental unity, even missional, working together. And crucially, it's an active process. You become one flesh. You don't just find it pre-made.
So marriage has these purposes, companionship, obviously, maybe procreation, but also something bigger, redemption.
Yes, and Paul takes it even further in Ephesians. He calls marriage this profound mystery that actually reflects Christ and the church.
Wow, okay. So husbands loving like Christ love the church, sacrificially.
And wives responding in kind. It shifts the whole goal away from just personal happiness toward, well, glorifying God together. It's a much higher calling.
Which really changes things. If it's an active process, a calling, then this idea of finding the one specific person God supposedly made just for you.
Yeah, the Bible doesn't really give instructions for that. There's no find your soulmate chapter.
Right. And some argue that focusing too hard on finding the one can actually be harmful.
It can be. It can become almost an idol, like we said. It sets up these crazy expectations, undermines the hard work of commitment, and sadly can even be used as an excuse to bail when things get tough.
Because, they must not have been my real soulmate after all.
Exactly. The Bible seems to suggest, well, that there could be more than one suitable partner out there for a person. The emphasis isn't on finding the single needle in the haystack.
So what is the emphasis on then?
On wisdom, on active choice, on discernment, praying about it, looking for shared core values, godly character.
Proverbs talks about a wise partner being valuable, right?
Absolutely. And there's that clear warning about being unequally yoked.
Partnering with someone who doesn't share your fundamental faith.
Yeah, because that can create such deep conflict down the line.
Yeah.
It's about building on a shared foundation.
And it's also important to remember, the Bible doesn't say everyone has to get married.
Not at all. Paul, in 1 Corinthians, actually calls singleness a valuable gift, a valid path for growth, for serving God intensely. It definitely frees you from that cultural pressure that says marriage is the only way to be fulfilled.
Fulfillment is ultimately in Christ.
That's the biblical bottom line.
Okay, so let's quickly contrast this. Secular soulmate idea. Greek roots, find the one to complete me. Based on feelings, destiny, not much effort needed. Another human makes me whole.
Right. Versus the biblical view of marriage. Divine origin, it's a covenant. You become one flesh through commitment. It's based on choice and sacrificial love. Takes continuous work.
And your ultimate wholeness.
Comes from God alone. You can see how that secular ideal, while romantic sounding, can lead to those negative things we mentioned, the unrealistic hopes, the weak commitment, the easy outs.
So, wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? This popular soulmate idea really is quite different from what the Bible teaches.
Very different. True wholeness, biblically speaking, is in God. And marriage is this sacred agreement, this active, intentional process of becoming one flesh together.
Which means practically Christians are kind of called to shift gears, move away from passively waiting for destiny.
And move towards actively, intentionally building love and commitment centered on Christ.
So focusing on Christ first, cultivating that selfless love, maybe focusing more on being the right person than finding them.
That's a great way to put it. Seeking wisdom, getting input from your community, making thoughtful choices.
Okay, so here's a final thought to chew on. Maybe a soulmate, in a Christian sense, isn't someone you find to fix your incompleteness. Maybe it's a partner you become one flesh with. Through that covenant, that sacrificial love, shared commitment, and trying to honor God together.
That's a powerful reframing, something to really consider.
Definitely makes you look at love and relationships a bit differently. Thanks for tuning into The Deep Dive.